I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Courtside Soundoff podcast. Today, I'm Josh Evanoff. He is the one and only Angel Ortega. A big show this week, to put it lightly. UFC Vegas, Ultimate Fighter, NBA playoffs, Mayweather Paul, Jake Paul news. Never thought I'd be talking about in a sports sense if you asked me that like 2 years ago. Regardless, before we get all of that and more, I talk to you guys about Rogue Energy. Rogue Energy was founded in January 2017 to be the best gaming drinker in the world. They've developed a premium stack of the form of a delicious energy and focus drink. It's designed to replace unhealthy candy drinks, coffee, and even traditional pre-workouts. Rogue Energy is sugar-free, loaded with vitamins, antioxidants, and nootropics. They designed Rogue Energy for the emerging professional competitive gaming market. It continues to have fantastic carryover and success for students, athletes, entrepreneurs, and anyone looking to optimize their mental and physical performance. If you win 10% off your order, use the code SOUNDOFF at checkout. That's code SOUNDOFF at checkout for 10% off of all your energy needs. This Saturday night in the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. An interesting main event, one that is very flying under the radar. Angel, I'll be honest, if we did not cover MMA on this show, I probably would have forgotten that this show was happening. I've seen very little promotion for it. Seems like they're kind of throwing in the towel given all that's going on in the sports world. I mean, obviously NBA's going on. Obviously a lot of boxing's going on this weekend as well, which we'll talk about near the end of the show. But, man, Still a card going on, nonetheless. Two top 10 heavyweights, Jairzinho Rosen striking on Augusto Sakai. Jairzinho obviously looking to rebound 2 losses in his last 3 fights, both of them being pretty badly. Last one was a Cyril Gane in February via decision. Augusto Sakai, on the other hand, looking to rebound off of a knockout loss to the one and only Alistair Overeem in September of last year. That was also his first main event. Both these dudes looking to rebound. Angel, my man, what do you think about the fight itself and just kind of your buzz going into the card this weekend?
Oh, man, I'm personally excited. I think there's a lot to look forward to. Obviously, it's not the biggest name heavy, but there's a lot of guys here who are young, good contenders. As far as matchmaking for the first fight, I mean, let's get right into it, Josh. I'm really excited. I think these are two guys who are at an interesting point in their career, right? Obviously, Sakai was a guy coming off the loss of the Demolition Man himself, Alistair Overeem, who's now not in the UFC anymore.
Sadly.
Yeah, sadly. And it's kind of crazy. The last two, the last time these guys won, neither of those guys that they fought and won against are in the UFC any longer. Well, I guess Sakai lost to Overeem, so never mind. But still, you know what I'm saying. The last guys they fought aren't no longer in the promotion, which is actually kind of crazy. Well, not Cyril. But, yeah, man, I'm excited for it. I think this is a good one. Oh, man, dude, I'm just hyped up. I think Sakai is like a really sneaky guy. I think he could look really good on that given night. Mm-hmm. And then Jairzinho, bro, there ever since that Ngannou loss, I felt like there's something a little missing from his last fight. I feel like there's some hesitation. There's a little bit of going for it, sending it more that's not there. Obviously, Cyril was very smart in his game plan, very active, moving constantly, going in and out. And Jairzinho just didn't pull the trigger, in my opinion, in that fight. I felt like that's all he needed. He just needed to pull the trigger, put some pressure on, make him feel his power, and be able to take some rounds. He did not end up doing that. Obviously, both guys dictate the fight. It's not Jairzinho's fault and not Cyril's fault. It was just a combination of both of them together not making an exciting fight, sadly, on that night. As far as my pick, I'm going to pick Jairzinho, man. I think he's going to come back. I feel like he has to build his confidence. I feel like Sakai's going to go at him. I don't think these guys are going to touch the ground at all. Obviously, we've seen the weakness there for either one at times. And I think Jairzinho's going to be able to do it with his stand-up. I think it's just I'm going to give it down to the power. As far as technique, I feel like we still even haven't seen early Jairzinho's technique. I think that's something really important that we have to look into. And if even it's allowed to happen because of his amazing power.
Mm-hmm. And look, man, as much as I'm not looking forward to this fight, in fact, I think I don't think it's going to be very fun. I think Jairzinho's probably going to be hesitant. I mean, he was hesitant in the Gane fight. He's been kind of hesitant just in general ever since getting knocked out by Ngannou, which I don't blame him. But that being said, Augusto Sakai, I'm going to go ahead and take him, man. I think that he's not the most entertaining guy to watch, just historically speaking. The Overeem fight was relatively boring up until Overeem got the finish. The Evanoff fight, not a whole lot of action. Same for the Arlovsky fight, so on and so forth. However, he's very good at slowing down the fight and fighting at his own pace, which is such an underrated attribute, using his size a lot to his advantage. He's definitely one of the bigger heavyweights. He's 6'4", 260. And I'm going to go ahead and take Sakai, man. I'm assuming he's probably going to win something along the lines of a decision. However, I do not be surprised if Yarzuna comes out, man. This guy I still have a lot of hype on, just because he needs to figure out a lot of those little technical things, how to fight at a distance, so on and so forth. But dude, his power is still insane. He's still a very entertaining guy. He's still only 11-2, and I mean, 13 fights in his career. He's a top 5. I mean, he's technically ranked 6, so top 6 heavyweight on the planet. So I still got high hopes for the man, but I am going to go ahead and take Augusto Sakai in the main event. But Angel, my man, this is not the only heavyweight action we got this weekend. Co-main events: Walt Harris taking on Marcin Tybura. Both these guys ranked inside the top 15. Obviously, Tybura at 11, Walt Harris at number 8. Harris looking to rebound after 2 bad losses, both via knockout to Alexander Volkov and Alistair Overeem, respectively. Before that, he was on a 4-fight win streak. Sticking on Tybura, who, at one point, Tybura looked like a nice young heavyweight in the UFC. He debuted, lost to Timothy Johnson, but then he won 3 in a row, including being Arlovsky. Then he lost 4 or 5, man, and 3 of those were knockouts. Since then, 4 wins in a row, including over Greg Hardy and Ben Rothwell, respectively, 2 of the bigger names on that list. So, my man Angel, in the co-main events, who do you got coming out on top, Tybura or Harris?
I don't want to get into it too deeply just because of the man situation, but, I've talked a lot privately about how I think Walt Harris shouldn't be fighting. I mean, mainly last year. I mean, he came back after some kind of crazy things that have occurred in his life and in a tragic loss. Especially in the manner in which it happened, and then him fighting and losing, I don't think that makes it any better. Marcin Tybura is kind of having this upward trajectory right now. He's 1-4 in a row. He's taking on Walt Harris now, which is kind of, at least for him right now, if in the situation the guy's in, kind of the perfect opponent for him. He's currently ranked 8. He'll push himself up if he wins this. I think Marcin Tybura is going to come out with a victory. Obviously, for Walt Harris's own good, it'd be good for him to get a W, right, and get back in there and kind of build some confidence back up and try to find some normalcy in his life. But I think maybe Marcin Tybura might be turning around a little bit. Maybe not necessarily turning around, but kind of finding his stride here now, a few years into the promotion and capturing a couple wins.
Yeah, man. And Tybura, he's finally hit his stride, which is weird because he is 35. He's been in the UFC for, honestly, 4 or 5 years at this point, longer than you would expect. I'm actually going to go Walt Harris, man. I think he's going to get back on track. I think the Volkov fight was definitely just a really, really tough matchup for him. That one was just a terrible matchmaking decision, and I do agree with you that he probably did come back too soon, especially for the Overeem fight. I mean, that was only – we're not exactly going to get into it, but regardless, I thought he looked good in that one. The Volkov fight was a bad matchmaking decision, especially considering Volkov – Alexander Volkov, he's killing it right now, boy. That dude's a future champ, straight up. But we'll talk about our Volkov love whenever he fights next. But, man, I am going to go ahead and take Walt Harris. I think he still hits hard as fuck. I think he's determined. And I think Tybura, man, God bless Tybura. The dude has 0 head movement. And I don't think he's able – I mean, you saw what happened in that first round against Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy was beating his ass. And Greg Hardy is not a 10th of the striker that Walt Harris is. So I'm going to go ahead and take Walt Harris here, probably via a knockout. But regardless, man, you said yourself you're a fan of the undercard. What are the couple fights you want to go and highlight from this one?
Oh, man. We're gonna get into it, Josh. We were talking before the show is starting. Santiago Ponzinibbio, Miguel Baeza, man. We have seen this man really have, at least amongst the community of people who keep up with the sport and enjoy it a lot, have a lot of hype. I mean, he's been putting up good performances, man. This is a big one for him. He's getting pushed kind of pretty hard right now. This is a really tough opponent. I mean, but before Santiago lost to Li Jingliang, I'm pretty sure his last loss was quite a while back. I mean, you got to look for it. I'm trying to find it right now. Let's see if I can find it. Lorenz Larkin, who's now in Bellator, I believe. That was back in 2015. So it had been a long time. And Obviously, he lost when he made his return after obviously dealing with some health issues. And now he's getting put against this young guy who they want to push, who's giving them some good highlights. I mean, that's kind of one of the biggest one for me outside of Mason Jones on the prelim, because he's a lot of guy I have a lot of hope for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So as far as the first fight you went in and highlighted, Santiago Ponzinibbio, Miguel Baeza, that's a straight up banger, dude. That has fight of the night written all over it. Obviously, Miguel Baeza, 28 years old, 10-0, undefeated in the UFC. They're pushing him hard, man. And is Ponzinibbio too much too soon? Who knows? But Ponzinibbio, man, I mean, I felt so bad for this kid, man. I really did. I mean, he was on a great win streak. And he looked like he was hitting his prime. I mean, that beatdown in Neil Magny is one of like the all-time underrated beatdowns. He beat the shit out of Neil Magny for 4 rounds before flattening him. And then he obviously got COVID. He nearly died. He got a blood infection, but even before he got COVID, like the dude dealt with a lot of shit. And so I'm glad to see him back, but that is a tough matchup for both those dudes. Obviously, Tanner Boser taking on Lear Latifi should be a lot of fun. Makwan Americani is fun. Your boy Jordan Levitt is back taking on Claudio Poleles. Muslim Silikov, Francisco Trinaldo. So overall, I mean, I shit on the top 2 fights, kind of, especially IRL when I talk with you. But overall, not a bad overall card, but definitely one that's flying under the radar, to put it lightly. But Angel, man, is there anything else left on this Saturday night fight card you want to talk about before we go and move on to the Ultimate Fighter?
No, man, I think we did a great job of highlighting it all. I'm really excited. There's a lot to look forward to. A lot on the prelims mainly that I'm going to be excited for, and then obviously next week, man, we got pay-per-view talk, so that always gets me hyped up.
For sure, man, for sure. And let's go ahead and move on as far as that card to just a quick recap. If you guys have not noticed or forgotten or given a shit, the Ultimate Fighter's back. Most people have probably not really cared. Just based off of the response I'm seeing online, I saw nothing about it like on Reddit, on Twitter the day after. I mean, like there's been zero talk of this, which kind of sucks because overall the Ultimate Fighter it was a show that's was very influential in the early days of the UFC as far as getting traction. They put it on Spike and it did huge numbers, and for a long time it was a huge show. There's been such amazing moments. I mean, I've watched multiple seasons, and now they're back for the first time in I believe 3 or 4 years, and literally I've seen very little talk of it. We're gonna go and talk about it, man. Obviously the coaches Alexander Volkanovski and Brian Ortega, they're gonna fight later this year. But as for the teams, it's gonna be bantamweights and middleweights. And as far as it goes, man, first fight up, we saw Andre Petrowski subbing Aaron Phillips. As far as that goes, man, what are just kind of like, it's kind of hard to kind of recap this, at least week 1, because there's not a whole lot to talk about. But what are some of the dudes that kind of stuck out to you and your kind of takeaways from the first episode?
I mean, obviously we didn't get to see a lot of like what they can actually perform. Obviously we saw them train, do some drills, but it's really hard. Obviously, we can take our time to look up some of their fights, because some of these guys have fought in, obviously some pretty good promotions. I mean, Aaron Phillips fought in Alaska FC, and we know that Alaska FC is kind of has been around for quite a while and has put up a lot of shows. Credit to them. And then I know one of these guys, I can't think off the top of my head. One of them's been in Bellator, and they decided to come onto the Ultimate Fighter. I can't remember who. I know he's someone we got to keep an eye on. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. And obviously there was they got to do some sit downs with them and tell some stories. We were talking about it earlier. I mean, Trishan Gore, his story is one that I think will impact a lot of people, and he'll be definitely a guy coming in with a lot on his back and kind of trying to make a statement. And then as far as personalities for me, I mean, Ricky was one who we highlighted. I think he's going to be a fun guy during the season. Maybe a sleeper guy that a lot of people don't expect to put out a performance for, not looking like a fighter and maybe not having like you can tell he's a guy who might be into some like nerdy stuff, because I saw him doing some kind of poses out there.
Yeah.
He looks like a guy we'll enjoy. As far as a guy that I think looks like your prototypical fighter, I mean, Andre, who we had on our first fight, who looks like he might be one of the guys, at least right now. Obviously, we only saw one fight. He looks like he's kind of like, he came out and made a statement really quickly on, obviously, Aaron Phillips in that first fight. I know I'm rambling a little bit here. Mm-hmm. But I mean, just to carry on. I mean, Josh, and you probably had the same reaction when you heard Aaron Phillips got most of his MMA training for YouTube. That's probably when you were like, "Yep, I know."
I was like, that's it.
That's it.
That's done.
But yeah, I'll throw it back to you. I went on a little tangent there and kind of went off.
No, you're good, bro. I mean, overall, episode 1 was pretty fun. At this point, if you've seen one of the Ultimate Fighters, like if you've seen one season, if you've seen one episode, you've seen it all, man. And that's not to be disrespectful, but at this point, there's 29 seasons. You know what you're getting into, bro. I mean, you got 16 dudes in a house. They're all going to fight, at least in their own weight class. They're going to fight, and they're going to be a winner, and they're going to get a nice contract at the end of the season. You kind of get that idea. They make sure they're stocked up on booze in the house, and they're not allowed to see their family. They're not allowed to leave the house. Crazy shit always happens. At this point, you know what you're getting with the Ultimate Fighter. Some of it's like manufactured reality drama, but who knows? Overall, dude, I'm a big fan of Trayshawn Gore. A big fan of Ricky, like you said. Pretty cool dude. Overall, though, like it was a good episode. It was a good.
I mean, it's early on. We don't know. As far as like, obviously, like I said, we can look up these guys, watch their fights, and outside of other when they were in other promotions, right? Because obviously we don't know a lot about them yet. We gotta wait for the episodes to come out and see them fight each week. So it's gonna be hard right now to see who's looking like the guy, right? Or who's someone who's gonna be who we think is gonna come out out of each weight class,
Yeah, and as far as it goes, man, I mean, like we can talk about this real quickly. I mean, like the coaches of the show, Ortega and Volkanovski, dude, definitely got a lot of hate. Whenever they were announced, because a lot of people were looking for Colby, or they're looking for Connor, or they're looking for like a huge star. Overall, man, I was actually kind of enjoying them. I like the kind of camaraderie that they're having with their team. And sometimes the dudes that you don't expect are like kind of the best coaches. I mean, I remember like Chael Sonnen was a phenomenal coach. Mayhem Miller was a great coach from like season I think 10. No, it wasn't 10. It was like 15.
I mean, we've had some bad coaches, dude. I mean, great example, Forrest Griffin.
Yeah, I love Forrest, man, but some of these dudes just are not good coaches. I mean, I still can't believe they let Brock Lesnar coach a season. Lesnar had 6 MMA fights at that point.
Oh my god!
And he was coaching against JDS. Although apparently I've heard from Tony Ferguson's talked about it a lot. Apparently he was a great coach.
Yeah, that was the Ferguson season. I forgot.
Yeah. But there's just some really, really bad ones, man.
But I mean, as I think the guys that realistically though, you can tell these guys are kind of invested because you saw Brian, like he talked about on the show, he's taught a lot into, because obviously the jiu-jitsu background, a lot of times those guys also teach when they reach a certain level. So he's going to be really good at explaining stuff. And then obviously, I don't know if you knew this or I don't know if you paid, but Craig Jones was brought in for Team Volkanovski. I think that was almost calculated to counter Brian a little bit and help the guys out with the jiu-jitsu. Which I think Craig Jones was a really fun guy to bring on. I'm so happy they brought on Craig.
Yeah.
I was like that. I'm like, that is so calculated. I'm like, that's so sneaky, Volk, you motherfucker.
And overall, man, I'm a really big fan of a lot of the dudes that are in that on both teams. Because I mean, you mentioned Craig Jones. I got to shout out my boy Tiki Gosen. On Team Ortega. So I mean, overall, they got some fun dudes on both squads, and I do enjoy both the coaching. Like, it's gonna sound weird because like the entertainment factor is probably not there as much as far as like if they had a Colby Masvidal season, or if they had a Connor Dustin season, or if they had some other big star in there, right?
Izzy Vittori.
Yeah, if they didn't have
Izzy anybody.
They don't have such a huge star, but I kind of appreciate like just the coaching side of like the actual like sometimes I love MMA more than anything. It's a spectacle sport unlike no other besides maybe boxing, which we'll get into later. I mean, boxing is all about fucking spectacle. But sometimes I should appreciate like the actual athletic part of it, just like kind of like the coaching side of things, which I think Ortega and Volkanovski be like probably technically wise 2 of the best dudes you're gonna pick for that thing.
You can tell they care. You can tell they care about each guy and having them perform. Because I mean, even in that first episode, I mean, you saw what was it? I think Brian dedicated specifically 2 hours just to Andre, just the day before the fight, just talking game plan, because obviously no one else had a fight at the moment. Obviously they did announce the other fight. We didn't know that until the end of the episode that they also picked that. But Yeah, you can tell these guys are genuinely invested and they want to see each guy succeed.
For sure, man. And I'm gonna go ahead and spring this on you right now. This doesn't really count for anything because we always track fight picks and we do stuff like that. But just try and make your bold prediction. Who's going to be champ at the end of the season for middleweights and then also for bantamweights? Who's going to be the Ultimate Fighter?
Oh my God, Josh, this is so early on. This
Doesn't matter. I don't care. We're doing it for season 1, so that way from episode 1, that way you have like a dude you can follow.
Oh man.
I'll do mine if you don't want to go.
Okay, go first. Go first.
For middleweight, we'll go and start lower weights. Bantamweights, I'm gonna go Vince Murdoch. That's my bold prediction. I don't know if that's that bold because I believe he was near the end of. He was picked 7th, but I've actually followed that dude before.
He has some of the most fight experience on this roster too.
Yeah, exactly, and that's gonna be big.
Him and Ricky actually, which is weird.
Yeah, and he's 12-4. He's fought in the Contender Series before. He's fought in Bellator before. He's been around the game, man. So I'm gonna go Vince Murdoch, and then as far as middleweights, I am gonna go Tresean Gore.
He just can't lose, man, can he? He has to do it, right?
He has to do it, man. I mean,
that's the kind of energy he has.
His journey, man. Like I want him to do it.
Oh man, you know something? This is based off no information, nothing. I'm gonna go Andre, and I'm gonna go Ricky.
That's fair enough, man. That's fair enough. I mean, like I was gonna try.
I think Mitch has some potential though. A lot of people
I was gonna pick Andre, but it almost feels cheap because he was the first middleweight picked. But
he also has a lot of experience though. He has a lot of experience. He's fucking huge, and real strong, good striking, and obviously the wrestling too. Mm-hmm. And dude, he's not even done, fully developing his game, and especially now with Brian on his side and kind of that team, I think he'll develop. I mean, if they really mold him, I think they could do a good job.
And I'm pretty sure Tresean Gore has how many fights do he have? 3?
3, yeah, but he has some fucking power.
He's definitely like one of the. I want to say has like the least experience on the show, so I'm gonna go ahead and take him. Just like
he's the most moldable though. You gotta think about that too. The guys who are very raw and want to learn and have a lot on the line are guys who are willing to learn a lot. Yeah, they're willing to learn a lot, change a lot, and fix those little holes.
For sure.
And who was the first pick? Who was the first pick actually at a team? It was Mitch.
Yeah, it was Mitch.
And then the second pick was Andre, right?
No, it was Daniel Ortega.
All right. I wonder. I don't know.
Andre was the first middleweight picked.
Now, Josh, is Kerman Lichinov gonna be a sleeper, Josh? Cameron.
Maybe. Because here's the thing, man. I don't know the history of the Ultimate Fighter, but I feel like a lot of those dudes that are picked near the last always end up being killers.
Wasn't Rashad Evans the last pick?
He may have been. I think he actually was because he was that was a heavyweight season.
Yeah, that was the heavyweight season. He was small.
Yeah, very small dude. So it's not unheard of for a lot of those dudes who were picked last or picked near the last to actually end up killing it. So
yeah, I mean Kelvin was the last pick. I know that for a fact because Dana said it. So there you go.
Yeah, Rashad was not the last pick, but he was the 5th pick.
That's kind of crazy, dude.
Yeah,
looking back at it.
Yeah, that season was great, dude. That was the Ultimate Fighter season 2. Everybody talks about season 1. Season 2 had Joe Stevenson, Keith Jardine, Seth Petrozelli, Josh Berkman, Marcus Davis, Rashad Evans, Melvin Gillard. That was a great season.
Yeah, no. Well, they had to rally back, Josh. I mean, they followed it up with the first one. They had to carry that hype.
Well, then season 3 had fucking Bisping, Kendall Grove, Matt Hamill, Caleb Starnes, Ross Point, Ed Herman. Dude, those older Ultimate Fighter seasons, there's a reason why everybody has so much nostalgia for them.
They carry that energy. Yeah, they carry that energy.
And then obviously season 4 had, Travis Luter, Patrick Cote, the boy Matt Serra, Chris Lyle, Dean Thomas, Shoney Carter.
Dean Thomas.
Yeah, all those dudes. Jorge Rivera. That's an old name, man. Yeah, man. Hell of a good episode. So it was pretty fun, man. I think
next week's gonna be a banger.
I think the season's gonna be a banger. Now, I do hope it does well. I selfishly do enjoy the Ultimate Fighter, and I don't want to see it go away. And I saw literally nobody talking about this episode. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Anything can happen, man. Some crazy stuff can happen that will, some stuff can happen in the house that would, bring people in, some controversy or maybe a good fight. I mean, a lot of stuff could attract people. We got to have hope. I don't know how many people watched. I'm kind of curious to see how many people watched the premiere, I guess, of the return.
I don't think we're actually going to find it out because it was on ESPN Plus. So I don't think that those ratings are released. Sadly. Maybe they are, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
But regardless, my man, moving on. NBA playoffs time, my man. We obviously gave our predictions last week for the first round. Some of these series are wrapped up. Some of them are not, but we're going to go ahead and talk about the ones that are wrapped up real quickly. Last night, Atlanta wrapped it up in 5 games, which after the first 2 games, I would have never seen that coming. They ended up wrapping it up in 5 games, knocking out the Knicks. Washington ended up getting eliminated last night in a close one against Philadelphia, even though Philly was down Joel Embiid. Boston ended up getting eliminated. We got that Brooklyn-Milwaukee finally set, officially set, I should say. But the Western side, man, West, not surprisingly, it's hectic. It's hectic, but it's competitive, man. Memphis did get eliminated in 5 games. It was a fun 5-game series. Ja kept it relatively interesting, but we all kind of knew it was going to happen. Dallas went up 3-2 last night. Denver Portland had the game of the fucking century. Dame went off for 55 2 nights ago.
Didn't matter, though, sadly.
Did not matter.
Did not get Dame some help.
Get Dame some. He's going to the Lakers after this year, I'm telling you. But he did hit 2 buzzer beaters to go ahead and send him to overtime and then double overtime. Absolute fucking champion. Get that man some help, please. And then Angel, you guys, you are on the board. You are on the edge of history right now. Tonight, Lakers take on Phoenix. Obviously, the Lakers were down without AD. He got injured for the 17th time in his career. I feel like I've never watched an Anthony Davis game without him having some sort of injury scare, honestly. Whether it's him getting up slow or actually getting hurt. But regardless, your boys, obviously, it was just LeBron, and everybody thought LeBron was going to go nuclear mode.
Nope.
They lost by 30. It was just a straight-up annihilation. Now you guys are on the edge of making history. And, Angel, I just got to ask you, man, how nervous are you? What are your nerves tonight going into this game? What are your thoughts, man?
I'm nervous every night, dude. Nervous every night, every game. But, I get confident as the game happens. But that was a hell of a night for us. Obviously, AD was out. But, hey, man, LeBron's still on the court. Andre Drummond's still on the court. They still got a good roster, in my opinion. I can't wait to see the Bronsexuals make excuses for LeBron again. Because it's going to happen, Josh. We didn't have AD. Okay, you didn't have AD, but what about that first game where Aiden literally fucked up AD and Drummond both in the paint? We won't get into it right now. I won't release my anger. They'll wait. They'll have to wait a bit.
They're gonna have to wait until potentially next week.
Next week, yeah.
Let me ask you this: do you think they close it out tonight?
It's gonna be rough. I think obviously we're gonna go back. I think we're going back to LA, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're not gonna be at home, and obviously, man, if we win it there, dude, that's gonna be a hell of a fucking statement, depending on the performances we put up, right? Because we'll be back in their house. AD might force himself back, which is obviously a scary thought for them. Do they? They obviously got to win to push it to Game 7, right? If they want, obviously to win. They really got to come out here. Are they going to push AD to come back, and is AD going to be 100%, or are they going to risk it and not play him a lot, or do whatever? It's looking a bit rough for them. But I think that if AD isn't back, and doesn't play, I think we have a pretty good chance of just closing it out on that night. If we go to Game 7, well, it's going to be a bit rough. But hey, man, I did predict Game 7 win by the Suns. It wouldn't be that hell of a way to do it. But you know something, Josh? We made the Lakers miss out on the playoffs when LeBron made it to LA originally. We'll make them lose the first round again. Well, not again, but we're going to make it happen. Just like we killed all these playoff dreams once, we'll kill it again. They should have killed us when they had a chance. Because now we're back, baby. I'm not going to say, though. I'm not going to do the whole quote, but I'll do part of it.
Yeah, they should have killed you when they had the chance, dude. I texted you during that game. I was like, I cannot fucking believe the Phoenix Suns are actually going to knock LeBron. Like, for the first time ever, LeBron James has never lost in the first round. Ever.
I think one time.
No,
I think he's 14-1. I thought there was some stat that he was like 14-1 in the first round.
No, he's never lost in the first round.
The fuck? Oh, I guess people were just posting 14-1 because it's going to happen, or they think it's going to happen.
Yeah. He's never lost in the first round ever. And the Phoenix Suns, who, since I've been watching basketball, have been terrible. Almost every single year. And, like, it's finally going to – I mean, you and I were high on the Suns, but even us, like, we're not – I never would have thought they would have beaten – the way they're doing it, I guess is how I should say it. Like, they kicked the shit out of them. So I honestly think they're probably going to close it out tonight, man. I want to put the Josh stink on it. I don't want to, like, jinx anything. But if I had to flip a coin, I'd probably go and take Phoenix. I'd probably take them to close it out tonight. But, dude, on that same note, I would also never picked in a million years that the Clippers were also not going to make it out of the first round.
Well, dude, Luka Doncic has been on a fucking rampage. They have not been able to shut this man down. He has been putting it on his back, carrying his team. I mean, he's the definition of a superstar right now. I got to give him credit. You know, as much as I give Luka a lot of shit, you know, a lot of the hype on him, obviously it's well deserved, right? Obviously he's putting up the performances right now. If he beats Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, I mean, dude, what a fucking statement. What a fucking statement that is. You know? Honestly. That is a hell of a statement. He is cementing himself as a perennial all-star right now.
Mm-hmm. And look, going into this year, I mean, Luka had a lot of that MVP hype around him.
It didn't happen in the regular season, though, which is fine.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of that was coming off of last year whenever they played Clippers, and, you know, he looked great, but he got hurt, and, you know, they took 2 games, but still they ended up losing. This year, man, I mean, I don't want to say they're going to close it out because obviously they started off 2-0, now it's 3-2, and they could have easily lost last night as well. But there's a very good chance that they're going to close out this series whenever it goes back to Dallas. So, absolutely insane. Never in a million years would I have thought both, because look, it would not have been a controversial thing to say, oh, the Clippers are going to lose, or, oh, the Lakers are going to lose. Both of them in the first round? That's fucking crazy. Never would have picked that in a million years.
Yeah, I would have never thought that too. I would have picked them to be in the finals. I think I did maybe at the start of the year.
Yeah, I think you did. You've always been higher on the Clippers. I have not really been high on the Clippers, especially after last year when they choked.
You're doing it
but
again.
Dude, it's insane to me, because, like, especially, I mean, now all we need is Brooklyn to get knocked off. Then it's full chaos. Because I'd say if you ask most people, the top 3 picks probably would have been along the lines of Clippers, Lakers, even though the Lakers have been pretty bad this year, injuries withholding it too. And Brooklyn. I say those probably would have been the top 3 picks. We're looking at a very real possibility, especially depending on how the Bucks do. All of them could be out by the conference championship. So, absolutely insane, man. As far as the series that are currently ongoing, not ongoing, we can go ahead and give our prediction real quickly, just for the East side of things. Philadelphia, Atlanta. Well, that's because those are the only series that are set, I should say. Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Brooklyn, Milwaukee. How do you see those two out?
I really need to see Milwaukee I really need to see Milwaukee come out this first game and see the kind of performance they put up, because I think there's a lot riding on how they play that team. Obviously, a lot riding on Giannis, a lot of pressure on him. That's okay, man. That's what you need when you're a superstar. Obviously, he's facing a really stacked, heavy team. For his sake, I mean, he needs to put a team on his back and really, really show what he's capable of. Obviously, taking the hard matchup, defending KD, having a lot of faith in his guards to, obviously defending against Harden and Kyrie, and being in their face constantly, and getting your shooter shooting, making sure that every night you're hot, because this Brooklyn team is not a team that can be slept on any night. You cannot relax one bit, because one night, Kyrie isn't going off, okay, Harden can go off. If Harden isn't going off, Kyrie can go off. If one of them is down, the other two can be up. You know what I mean? Or the other two are down, one can be up. It doesn't take a lot for them to win if as long as one of them is on, which is a very scary thought with this team. As far as Atlanta, I think obviously with the performance Trey and the team has been having, I feel like they could have some potential here to come out with an upset. I think it would be an upset. I think if Embiid comes back, and hopefully he's healthy. I mean, like I've said, my thing is with Embiid is I think he will eternally always have trouble with his health and load management. And it's just a sad reality, I think, for him, because it's been a thing since college. It's not like he's been dealing with this just at the pro level. He's been dealing it since he got to college. I take the Sixers, honestly. I feel like the Sixers could take it in 5, pretty easily. I think the Bucks and Nets could be a 6-game series. Like I said, I think Hawks and Sixers in 5 wouldn't be a surprise to me. Maybe to do in 6. But I think Milwaukee does definitely put up against a fight against Brooklyn though. At least 6 games. 7 games, I don't know. That's gonna be really tough. But I'd take Brooklyn easily. Brooklyn and Sixers easily, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, same here. I'm gonna go Brooklyn in probably 5 or 6. I've never been a believer in Milwaukee. Now they did shut me up a little. By just completely, beating the shit out of the Heat. Last year. Obviously, we saw what happened there. The Heat took him out in 5. Probably should have taken him out in 4, for being honest. And then they reversed this year, man, out in 4 games. So I was really impressed with that. I don't think it's a whole lot, though, especially considering whenever you're comparing Brooklyn to the fucking Miami Heat. I am going to go ahead and take Brooklyn in probably 5 or 6. Not a knock on Milwaukee. Like I said, I was very, very impressed. They took care of business in the first round. I'm a big fan of Giannis. I'm a big fan of how that team has kind of rallied after last year, whenever it looked like, oh, damn, Giannis he's totally gone. He gone. And nonetheless, man, they came back, 3rd seed this year, knocked out Miami, got revenge. I don't think it's going to be the same against Brooklyn. And then Philadelphia, Atlanta. Atlanta impressed the shit out of me. I like that squad a lot, like a lot. But I am still going to go ahead and take Atlanta. I'm going to take Philadelphia over Atlanta in probably 5 or 6. I just think the 76ers, especially if Joel is healthy, which who knows if he will be 100% for the series. If he's 100%, I don't think it'd be much competition for them. But still, props to the Hawks for getting that series done against the Knicks, man. I don't think they're gonna get enough credit just because of everybody loved the Knicks story this year. The media loves whenever the Knicks is good.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they really do. But damn, man, Trae Young playing the villain, man, took him out in 5, especially out of those first 2 games whenever they were like razor thin. Would have never expected it.
Well, dude, Julius Randle didn't show up for them. He went from most improved player to not so most improved player real quick.
Yeah, he was invisible. He was non-existent.
You really had to take over during those games. It was really sad to see because I feel like the Knicks really could have got through that team. I think I might have picked the Knicks originally, honestly.
I think we both did.
I think we both picked the Knicks originally. But I feel like looking at it now, they're a really young squad, as far as like the rotation. Obi, Emmanuel Quickley. Obviously all those guys are real young dudes. So it was going to be a heck of a performance if they were going to do it, obviously. Mm-hmm. And that realistically looking back at it, that's just how things are sometimes, man. They'll be back though. I feel like we can see them in a year being a really good team. Obviously, hopefully they can get D Rose back and keep him. Obviously, he's going to be someone who a lot of people are going to be interested in. Maybe make some trade moves. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't think he'll leave New York though. But who knows what could happen? Obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I felt bad for D Rose. He did. To be fair, I was about to say like everybody kind of stunk it up in Game 5 for the Knicks, but D Rose 6 points. It was a rough night for pretty much the entire starting lineup. So it is what it is. Though, as far as the NBA side of things, is there anything else you want to close out on before we get to the bigger news of the week?
Obviously, no, man. It's heating up. It's getting really exciting. We could have 2 games, maybe even 3 games, go to a 7-game series.
Mm-hmm. For sure, man. And let's go ahead and let's hope your boys can close it out. Let's go ahead and hope your boys can close it out. I really think they're going to do it, so I'm happy for you, bro. But nonetheless, before we get into probably the biggest event this week, to put it lightly, I want to talk to you guys about Monkey Knife Fight. Monkey Knife Fight is a daily fantasy sports gaming website for the casual sports fan that's simple, fun, and easy to play. Use to determine which superstars competing in the day's professional sporting events will record more or less than the contest line provided. Monkey Knife Fight's daily fantasy prop games play similar to the salary cap daily fantasy sports game without the algorithms, lineups, so supporting the sharks. There are several contests to choose from, none of which require hours of research required on competing sites. Start with a simple 2 for 2 or go for the highest payouts up to 100 times and higher by selecting an 8 for 8 more or less contest. Get started now with a 100% instant match bonus up to $50 with promo code Courtside. NBA going on, UFC going on, use Monkey Knife Fight. Use code Courtside, they'll match it. So Angel, so there's no way around this. This is a shit show going on this weekend. This is a circus. but we're involved in the circus, man. We are the ringleaders, so to speak. We've covered the story since day one. We've covered the Paul's boxing journey since day one, both of them. I mean, you and I mean, you bought the KSI Logan Paul first card.
Way back when.
Way back when. I was at your house for the second one. Now Logan's making his return to the ring. We'll talk about Jake Paul's announcement near the end of the show. But man, Logan Paul, the 0-1-1 boxer, 6'2", around probably 190, taking on the greatest boxer of our generation, Floyd Money Mayweather, probably 155, soaking wet, in an 8-round exhibition. No winner will be officially announced, however, unless it's in the event of a knockout. 10-ounce gloves, no headgear. First of all, what are your thoughts on the rule set, man? What is kind of like, I mean, we talked about like excitement level. But we talked about it before kind of the rules got announced, man. What is your excitement level now that the rules have been announced? Given everything that has been going down this fight week, their promotion title, the promotion by Showtime, what's your thoughts going in, and what's kind of your excitement level?
You know, I'm interested. You know, I'm interested to see what happens. Obviously, you're buying it for the what if factor. That's something I always try to make clear. You know, you're not in this because you think it's going to be a great match and it's going to be this back and forth war or some impressive performance. I mean, it's not a, you know, when it's not a pro bout for one, it's an exhibition. The rules clearly state that. Obviously, no judges, no scoring. Obviously, that also the 12-ounce gloves, no headgear, and no official winner. And 8 rounds, which is still a lot of rounds, I think, even for an exhibition. Not always felt that way with exhibitions. But yeah, man, I'm interested. You know, I'm interested to see what happens. Obviously, you know, I think I could bet my house on Floyd every single time and feel so safe that I could bet my other family member's house on it and feel even more safe. This is it's ridiculous how comfortable I could be, you know, betting my life savings, my house, my family, my organs, betting absolutely everything on Floyd.
Crypto.
Yeah, that's my dog. Like it's you know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, you kind of said there, you're buying it for the what if factor. Can this kid who's been training for 3 years, who is 18 years maybe younger, 4-inch height difference, 30 to 40 pound weight difference. It's pretty insane, man. I mean, it is an event, it is a spectacle, it is a shit show. But we're all kind of tuning in for it, and I see people say, "Oh man, nobody cares about the fight." People care about the fight, bro. This fight is going to do much bigger numbers than almost any UFC card will this year, with the exception of probably a Conor fight. Nonetheless, man, I guess we can just go ahead and talk about the main event itself, and then we'll go down the card, because I feel like the main event preview is going to be probably 6 seconds. Floyd Mayweather, Logan Paul. Do you think that there's any possibility, do this Deadliest Warrior style? Do you think there's any possibility for him to go ahead and actually get the win? Like, if they ran this 100 times, what is the probability?
Is that how many times they ran it in the Deadliest Warrior? 100 times?
I think so. I think it was 100.
Well, if they ran it 100,000 times, maybe. I think Logan wins in one of them.
Okay, so 1 in 100,000. Do you think we're living in that reality?
If we are, holy fuck, we do live in a simulation. I mean, the only possible way Logan wins this if he touches Floyd with the cleanest shot he has ever been hit by, which that in and of itself is such an unlikely thing. Because when was the last time Floyd was touched kind of even a bit or even dropped? Or has he ever been dropped?
Technically, he's never been dropped, but Judah, I don't remember if it was Zab Judah or Shane Moses. They pretty much dropped him. Yeah. But it wasn't counted. So, I mean, that was probably like one of the last times he was actually hit.
You know, and if you have like a more experienced younger guy and you put him in this position, I think they have a more likely chance because of the weight. Obviously, the advantage. Like there's a lot of factors that benefit Logan here, but that won't be a factor because he's not at that level. You know what I mean? Because if he was a pro with 15 fights, you know, and you know, was a known, you know, heavy hitter, had some understanding of angles and leveraging his weight, I'd be like, Logan has a really good chance, because of his age, his strength, his height, his weight, like all of that. If he knew how to properly use that, which is very unlikely that he does against the guy who has some of the best understanding of how to move in the ring and angles and distance and countering. I mean, I could see Logan maybe doing it, but it's like it's so unlikely that he'll probably get outboxed for all the rounds. I think Floyd will carry it, obviously, for the entertainment value. Like he'll carry it for a round or two. He might even gauge it. I think, let's say hypothetically he gets hit and he's like, "Fuck, okay, not a good idea to get hit by this kid."
Yeah.
Not because he's a good boxer, but just because I'm feeling it. Let me start moving around and let me start getting it, because I don't know if he can knock out Logan. I feel like you can knock him down with body shots repeatedly, and especially where there's knockdowns allowed. I think Logan could go down twice in multiple rounds. Floyd could be like, okay, I'm going to knock him down twice this round. Okay, I'm going to knock him down twice next round. All right, I'm going to knock him down, and then now I'm going to definitely just go at him this round,
Yeah.
I could see that definitely happening in this match, which I think is a more likely thing. He'll carry it for 1 round, 2 rounds, unless Logan shows him something where he's like, don't like being touched by this guy. Let's just end it.
And look, I mean, that's kind of historically, I mean, we've seen Floyd in these kind of weird freak show fights these last 3 years. I mean, the Conor one you could kind of sell yourself on because it's like, oh, it was a real boxing match. I mean, this is gonna count professionally. Conor is a 2-weight champ at the time, so on and so forth. You kind of buy yourself into that idea. The tension thing, so he took that one kind of seriously. Tension though, I mean, he went out there. It seemed like he was probably going to carry it, and the tension landed. Like I said, he landed a shot, and Floyd went, "Oh fuck this," and then he went for the knockout. He went for the kill on this like 120-pound kid, and he knocked him out. So we'll see what happens here, man. I think it's probably what you said. I think he's probably going to carry it unless Floyd feels like one hard shot, and he's like, "Oh man, fuck this," and he's just going to end up. Here's the thing, right?
Floyd's going to be like, "Oh shit, I'm actually 40 years old."
I'm actually 44 and have not fought in a real fight in like 5 years. And here's the thing, like you said, if Logan had potentially if he had 6 years experience rather than 3, I'd probably take him. You know what I mean? Because like, it's people always like, oh, I've seen Floyd. Some of it's like it's part of. Oh, I've seen Floyd beat up bigger dudes in the gym. Like, yeah, probably prime pretty boy Floyd. Like probably that dude. But this is 44-year-old Floyd Mayweather.
I mean, he's a human being. You could lose to a bigger guy just because he's just young, athletic, and strong.
Exactly. Like if you put a dude of Logan's size and stature and he had 6 years of experience rather than 3, yeah, I'd probably pick him over Floyd.
Actually, scratch that. We throw in the current light heavyweight champ in there. Actually, no, and not even that, cruiserweight, because cruiserweight's 190, right? Is it cruiserweight?
Yeah, but not even that though. I mean, I think you need to be champ. I think you take probably the 30th ranked dude.
Well, I'm just saying, so we pick the best guy. We throw in Arthur Betterbeeve in there.
He'd kill him.
Or Dimitri Bivol. I think he probably finish Floyd just because Floyd's older and because he has such a big weight advantage and because the guy's a world champion currently.
Yeah, I mean that's why there's a reason why weight classes exist. And this is an interesting fight for that reason alone, because it's like, how much does weight matter? And if Logan tries to go out there, if he just tries to go out there and just box him straight up,
fuck no.
You might as well just go ahead and throw in the towel, dude. There's no point. And
I mean, he could come in with a smart game plan where he could be like, okay, I need to, walk him down, not get hit, bend the rule. Well, yeah, but walk him down, which is very fucking unlikely because Floyd has really good footwork. But, use my 190 pounds, clinch a lot, weigh on him, make him tired because he's older. Obviously, his cardio is not going to be better,
Land shots in the clinch.
Land shots in the clinch, out of the clinch, right? Coming out of the clinch, shit like that. If he was, a more talented guy, right? Because that would be the ideal game plan because he's bigger. He has an advantage. Make Floyd tired, make those arms heavy, try to slow down his movement and look for your big shots, towards the body, towards the head, not head hunt, obviously, but he's not going to do any of that. And if he does, well, fuck me, for not doing any better. But yeah, that would be the ideal game plan if you were a more established guy with, more credentials. But that's so unlikely to happen. Actually, not so unlikely. It's not going to happen.
And the thing is like, it's important to note here, Logan Paul, and this is going off of the 2 fights he's had, right? Jake Paul, I mean, these people constantly mix them up, especially if they're like they don't really know they don't know the YouTube style like we do.
Oh, dude, it's actually kind of funny though how often it happens.
All the time. But so Jake, if you guys don't know, Jake's an aggressive guy. He'll walk forward. He'll try to land the big right hand. He's not the most defensively savvy guy. I mean, Ben Askren fucking tagged him, right? Like he's got bloodied up by Deji, Gib Drubala. Like he's an aggressive guy.
Granted though, he's also evolved from those fights too. You know, you also gotta think about
but I'm just talking like his general fight style. He's willing to get hit.
Yeah, he's willing to get hit, which is okay. You know, early on, you know, when you're learning and you're young and you can take a hit, it's not the worst thing. Obviously, it's not ideal, right? Yeah. But you take one to give one, you know, and sometimes you have to, you know. And it was against some guys. Sometimes it's so hard to engage with them. You have to go in, take a hit, and you know, obviously follow it up with your own counter, your own combination.
Of course, however, the big difference between Logan and Jake that's gonna get to, Logan not that dude. This is good judging off of the KSI second fight, and because in the first KSI fight, he only had 3 months of experience, something like that. Dude looked great. I mean, he was tagging him. He looked great. He looked athletic. He looked like he had power, and he was styling on him in the first 3 rounds. Then he gassed out, and he got his ass kicked. And then after that, in the second fight against KSI, he was super hesitant, which would I mainly assume and attribute to because he gassed out before, and he doesn't want to have to go through that again. Just because like this being
it's a
tired,
shitty feeling.
Taking shots, like, and there's nothing you can do to control that. He's probably gonna. I don't think he's gonna go out there and go for the kill because of what happened in that first fight. So he's. I don't know, man. It's if this were Jake in here, it'd probably be a lot more interesting in my opinion. But because of Logan, like I said, if they ran this 100,000 times, Logan maybe wins one. I don't think we're living in that reality.
Yep.
So. Moving on, man, real quickly, just a quick rundown of the rest of the card. We can go ahead and give our quick thoughts just about these fights, my man. Co-main events of the card, I believe, unless they've switched the bout order. Badu Jack taking on Dervin Colina. Dervin Colina 13-0, I believe. And taking on Badu Jack. Obviously, Badu was supposed to fight John Pascal. He ended up testing positive for everything under the kitchen sink. And now we're here. What do you think about this fight?
Oh, dude, he's gonna come out and kill this dude. He should at least. I hope.
I'd assume so. I mean, can we talk about how like Badu, dude, like
he's been a mix.
He keeps on fighting on all these weird cards. Like he fought on the Mayweather McGregor undercard. He fought on the Tyson Jones undercard. Now he's fighting on the Floyd Logan undercard. He keeps on getting in these really weird fights.
He's like a known commodity, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean he's legit though.
Yeah. Must be getting paid pretty well though. Let me tell you.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I'm gonna think Badu Jackson kill this dude. I hope so, just because like this is a guy he keeps on getting screwed by like these just stuff out of his control. I mean, I was really looking forward to that fight, and the John Pascal tested positive for everything. There was no urine in his drug sample at all. It was all.
Like I said, Josh, he was more likely to test positive for pregnant.
But moving down the card, man, Sweet Feet, Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, taking on Brian Maxwell, friend of the show we interviewed last week. I think Brian's gonna go ahead and I don't know the betting odds, but I'm pretty sure he's an underdog. You think he's gonna pull the underdog, pull the upset?
Fuck yeah.
It's just.
I can't believe there's doubt.
You got high hope for Sweet Feet?
Obviously he's a great athlete. You know, we got to give him credit where credit's due. I mean, he was very successful at football for a reason. But dude, it's just like, to me, he's fighting someone with experience, someone who's been hit in the face, someone who's been kicked, ground and pound on, probably had to face adversity in a fight and come back, like in the sport like MMA, dude, where you can get hurt terribly and you can keep going. And not saying you can't get hit terribly in boxing and obviously bare knuckle, but you can get, and in bare knuckle especially, dude, where you can get cut up, bloodied up, and you got to keep going, and you can clinch and hit in the head. I mean, dude, it's you got to be a different kind of human being to be able to do any of that. Mm-hmm. Our boy Maxwell, he's going to come out here and he should have a good performance. Granted, it's not like it's unlikely for, Chad to come out here and maybe look good because he's a talented guy. But the likelihood of that is I think pretty improbable in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I'm kind of on the same page. It's one thing for you to like train boxing and be in the gym, be with the Mayweathers in like the off season to train
Josh,
for like
actually,
cardio.
scratch that. I'll give you a great example. I train boxing. Doesn't mean I'm gonna beat Brian Maxwell.
Yeah, man, fair enough. Yeah, I'm same page here. I think that like you could train cardio, you can do all that stuff, but he's never really been in a fight before. He's taking on a guy who has a lot of combat sport experience. Yeah, Brian's record in bare knuckle is not the greatest. I think he's 1-2. In MMA, he's 2-2. So that's not including in other fights he may have had, like amateur wise. But still, that's a guy with a lot of experience. He knows what it's like to get hit. He does. Chad Johnson does not. I'm gonna go and take Brian Maxwell. And then obviously opening up the card, Jarrett Hurd, Luis Arias. What do you think about that one?
I mean, this is probably the most legit fight on the card. I mean, Jarrett Hood's a good talent. I mean, we got to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
And then I think he came back from a loss not too long ago, if I remember right, in a fight that you could have argued he won. If I remember, I might be thinking of a different fight. I do not know off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he lost to Julian Williams. Came back, fought Francisco Santana. Obviously, he's trying to chase that Julian Williams rematch. Obviously, Julian Williams didn't lose that long ago. He lost the title to our boy Hasan Rosario, who also lost the title not too long ago. I'm sure those guys are looking to rematch at some point. Obviously, Jarrett Hurd, losing his O, and wanting to get back in the mix, trying to get that title. Yeah, I mean, this is probably the most legit fight of the night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Jarrett is probably the best. I mean, without a doubt, this is the most legit fight of the card because Luis Arias is not a bad guy either. I mean, close second is obviously the Badu fight, but now that he's facing some short notice kid, it's not really the same. So yeah, it's a really fun fight to open up the card. Jarrett Hurd generally comes to bang, so that should be a fun one as well. But yeah, man, overall gonna be a fun Sunday night. You gotta remember, it's a Sunday night card for some reason. On my birthday, I'm gonna get to watch the greatest of all time lose to Logan Paul. So, jokes aside, that's my birthday wish. Come on, Logan, do it, bro.
Come on,
just do it for the memes, man.
I can't make the joke I wanted to make on air, but I'll make it afterwards, Josh.
Okay, all right. So, last bit of news for the day, my man. Jake Paul, brother of Logan, who's fighting this Sunday against the greatest of all time. Jake, on the other hand, is facing off against Tyron Woodley. We gave our prediction for his career path, like his next few fights. We did that after the Ben Askren fight. Neither one of us picked Woodley, man. A little bit surprised they're going this much this soon. Obviously, Woodley, to put it lightly, is not what he used to be. He'll be 40 when this fight takes place. He's lost every single round of every single fight he's had for the last 2 years. He's lost, let me go ahead and rephrase that. He's lost 4 in a row, 2 of those via stoppage. He's lost every single round since he last fought against Darren Till in 2018. He's not won a round in 3 years. But regardless of all of that, he also has arthritis in his hands. He still hits hard. His boxing not the greatest, but generally speaking, in MMA, he was kind of like, whenever he wanted to, whenever he actually threw hands, he was a pretty damn good striker. Do you think this is the most the most logical conclusion, or like next step, I should say, in Jake Paul's career as a boxer? And do you like the matchup itself being August 28th on pay-per-view for Showtime?
I mean, dude, he's literally fighting a former champ. I mean, one of the best to do it at that division, the UFC Strikeforce. I mean, he is taking on
He's a top 5 welterweight of all time.
Yes, that too. This gives, and it's a wrestler again, but it's someone who has a better chance of Ben. Honestly, you could probably bet on this fight more safely than you could with Ben, because if he wins this, I mean, you can't take anything away from Jake at that point, can you? I mean, we would have to put some respect on the name now, wouldn't we, Josh? Right?
You'd have to put some respect on his name, but it is one of those things where like this is still a how can I phrase this? This is a good step for him in his career. But it is a guy that has, like I said, lost 4 in a row, has arthritis in his hands, and is not a boxer, and is 40 years old and 20 pounds lighter than Jake.
At the moment. Granted, dude, you got to think about it too. He does cut weight, you know?
He does cut weight, but generally Woodley did walk around at 185, and Jake's generally probably around 200.
Yeah.
So I'll give you 50. I'll take it.
Yeah. That's another thing too. I mean, you know, as far as matchup, man, I did not see it coming, especially when T. Wood said, "I'm not gonna fight this kid unless it's MMA. I want to hurt him." You know, which let me tell you, that did not last very long. I thought that was actually real funny that he decided to take the fight because I'm like, really, T. Wood? Really? You said that you would fight this man only in the octagon, not in the ring. I mean, dude, a hell of a task in front of him, right? Obviously, you know, it's a different discipline. I mean, T. Wood, you know, I mean, the whole boxing stance and everything, it's a different style, man. That's something you just got to accept at this point. You know, if a kid at this level can beat, you know, some MMA fighters, you know, imagine what a guy at the highest level can do against some of the best MMA fighters. You know what I mean? That's something we got to recognize now. You know, just like a guy in boxing couldn't as easily make the transition to MMA. I mean, a guy in MMA couldn't as easily make the transition to boxing. I mean, I think there could be someone one day. I hope. That's my dream. Obviously, I mean, like one person who's kind of trying to do that right now is Clarissa Shields. So obviously, good luck to her. I mean, dude, I did not see this coming. I really didn't. I know I'm reading it again, but I mean, fuck, dude. I think there was a better chance of Woodley fighting Jay Leon Love, who was in, you know, his locker room talking some shit to him. You know what I mean? Which, granted, if he would have shot Jay Leon Love, I mean, Jay Leon Love would have put a working on the man.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, because obviously the man, I mean, his whole discipline is boxing. Obviously, he has some losses, some finishes on his record, or getting finished on his record. But, I mean, man, he's a legit guy. And, I mean, it's going to be on fucking Showtime, dude. And if Woodley loses this, Woodley's never going to fight again.
I don't think he's going to fight again regardless.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean? Especially now, if he loses, he's not going to fight for any other promotion. Unless it's a freak show like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. This is a real weird one. I'm really just in awe, to put it lightly, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a weird fight for sure, because the thing is like, I thought for sure that Dylan Dennis seemed like the next logical conclusion. Yeah. I mean, especially whenever Jake signed with Showtime, I'm like, oh, dude, like Dylan literally fights on Showtime for Bellator. And obviously, you know, Scott Coker's met with Logan before. It seemed to have a good relationship. He may fight for Bellator at some point in the future. So on and so forth. I'm like, oh, yeah, totally Dylan next. And it wasn't until T. Wood posted something on Instagram. We're like, oh, my God. Like, I put it together. Like, oh, God, he's going to fight Jake. And it's an interesting fight for sure. It may be too much too soon because, like, here's the thing. You've said before, and I've even said, like, you know, he's evolved a lot over his last few fights. And he should, because he's a young kid. He's athletic. He's training with some of the best trainers on the planet. He still gets hit. You know, Ben landed on him, for fuck's sake. If T. Wood lands one of those shots, and I've heard some people say it's like, oh, well, it doesn't really matter because T. Wood doesn't know how to box. And his thing is, leveraging your power in boxing is different than it is in MMA. That's why it's underrated. And you saw that a lot in, funny enough, Conor McGregor against Floyd Mayweather. Conor landed some shots, man, that, like, he landed them flush. He landed that uppercut that was flush. He landed a couple of some really nice shots, but they had no power on them. Just because he's not really sure how to leverage his shots. In the boxing, it's different in that than it is in MMA. T. Wood, man, I don't think it matters. I almost don't think it does, because, like, this is, for all that our criticisms of Tyron Woodley, he is 40. He has arthritis in his hands. He's broken his hands before. Even whenever he was champion, he was not the most entertaining guy. He was very hesitant to throw. The dude is I'd put him in the top 10 of the most athletic specimens to have ever fought in MMA. Mm-hmm. He has explosivity and power that is only given to you by a god, dude. I'm an atheist, but if there's God out there, this motherfucker put Tyron Woodley on the planet just to knock motherfuckers out. That's what he did, because he has some of the fastest hand speed that Josh Koscheck won, the Lawler knockout, so on and so forth, man. I mean, this dude is a straight up savage whenever he actually chooses to throw his hands. He has insane power, insane athletic ability. If he lands one, one clean one, it's going to be lights out. But at the same time, man, he also does not have the best chin as of late. He's taken a lot of damage. So I think it's a very evenly matched fight. I'm not sure who I'd pick as of now. But, man, it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a fun one. August 28th on Showtime pay-per-view, my man.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting. I mean, Woodley, too, man, even his hands weren't, like, he didn't have ever crazy combination. He threw a lot of twos, but he doesn't throw a lot of 4 and 5s, or more extended combinations. So that's another thing that Jake has some kind of thing on, because obviously he's training for, all variety of combinations, and Woodley isn't, like I said, he never had a crazy amount of combinations like that. He wouldn't go for 4s, 5s,
Mm-hmm.
So at least he has that. Also, Woodley has not that much time to prepare, right? Because, the stance is different, the cardio is different, everything's different.
Well, he's getting longer than what Ben had. I'll say that. I mean, Ben had, 2 months? A little under?
Well, granted, we don't know the negotiation and if he just started preparing ahead of time, right? Thinking that it was a possibility,
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet that Woodley's probably preparing for this for probably the last couple of weeks. And they're fighting in late August, which I actually heard that may also get pushed back to September as well. Because I guess there's a Showtime boxing happening on that night already. So they may push it back to September.
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely, I think he's getting more time to prepare than Ben, at least. Not that it would have mattered. Ben Askren coming off a hip replacement. Not exactly the number one candidate for a boxer, but yeah, man. I mean, overall, is there anything else you want to go ahead and talk about on the show or on this fight in general before we go ahead and close out?
No, not necessarily, man. It's just kind of out there. Obviously, like we try to not talk a lot about it, and I feel like we talk a lot about it right now compared to when we would the night of. Obviously, it's gonna be a while before we get there, but this is a big deal, man. Because obviously, I feel like and we didn't get into too much. I think the reason he ended up getting this fight over Danis, because said Danis kind of made sense, but I'm like Danis versus Woodley. Credentials, name, power. Woodley's kind of, the bigger draw, right?
Oh, Woodley's the bigger draw, but like in credentials, it doesn't matter when it comes to the Jake Paul fight. I mean, he fought Ben Askren.
I know, true, but he wants to fight guys who have some reasoning to fight for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some sort of drawing power. And the Danis fight made sense whenever it was like earlier, earlier this year, because Jake kind of after that boxing match against Askren, he became like a legitimate star during the build-up.
Granted, though, he has upgraded Josh. So what's the next logical upgrade after Woodley if it does happen? Obviously, I don't want to think about it too ahead, but it has to be someone just as big, if not bigger, right?
Potentially. I know they tried to have him fight Bisping, and Bisping told him no.
Well, he probably can't get medically cleared either. Right?
I don't think so. He literally has one good eye, and he just had double knee surgery. So I don't know, man. I mean, after that, it's honestly, he may fight a Bellator dude, and he may fight Danis. Even after this one, just because he still wants to get to Conor. But at the same time, dude, after this, I'm telling you, it's gonna be Floyd, because Floyd's gonna murder Logan, and then there's gonna have a storyline. They literally they unbanned Jake from ring because Jake got banned from the fight after the gotcha hat thing.
Uh-huh.
He got unbanned this past week, so now he's gonna be ringside.
That's gonna be interesting, man. That's gonna be interesting. Like I said, I think he's just gonna hunt for his big paydays, and once he gets that big fight, I think he'll be out of this sport, man.
For sure, man. I mean, I don't even know though, because I think he's obviously gonna fight Floyd next, win, lose, or draw, just because like it's gonna be an exhibition, so it doesn't really matter to an extent. Mm-hmm. It won't go on his professional record, so that's something he'll be able to fall back on. But yeah, man, it's definitely interesting. This whole storyline's been very, very interesting. There's so many different ways it could go, to put it lightly.
Shit, that's if Floyd wants to fight an exhibition too against him, because of the whole situation there.
I think if Floyd for the money, it'll make sense, and for that's why I think it's gonna happen. Because if it makes sense money wise, Floyd will do it. There's a reason why he's fighting Logan, man. Logan has zero credentials at all. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jake has significantly more.
Yeah, even then, it's still not a lot more,
Yeah,
but it still makes a big difference, which is crazy.
I know, man. I know. It's definitely it's a circus right now. Boxing is in such a weird place, man.
That's okay, man. That's okay.
It is, because we still have legitimate fights. Manny's gonna be fighting in July, I think. Not July.
I can't remember, but he's fighting.
Yeah.
Canelo's probably gonna fight Caleb Plant this year. He should, at least.
Yeah, and then we got obviously the
Fury
Wilder
Wilder.
Fury trilogy finally.
Yep.
Which I mean, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, it's like, damn,
You
they
gotta
really.
you gotta look forward to it, Josh. I know it's stopping Joshua Fury, but man, you gotta there was the talks of walk away money. I'm assuming, obviously, I'm sure Wilder probably asked for a ridiculous number just to be like, let's see if they can do it. It didn't take it, right?
Yeah.
It was offered, and he was like, nah, fuck that, giving it him again, which is kind of, honestly, that's some king shit right there if he did that. You know what I mean? You got to respect it because he's like, I want it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I respect him for that a lot. The fact that he
wants
had
it.
he had the chance to walk away and he didn't.
Yep, he wants
So.
it. He was like, oh yeah, fuck your big event in Saudi Arabia, give me that guy again.
Exactly, and he's training, man. He's training his ass off, so
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
I mean, there was nothing else to do during COVID, only for him to improve. So
That's fair. But
yep.
yeah, man, I thought this was a good show this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, go ahead and go like us on Twitter. I'm at Josh Evanoff. He's at _01. At Courtside Sound 1 is official Twitter page. And Instagram at Courtside Soundoff. Show our sponsors some love as well. Rogue Energy and Monkey Knife Fight. Make sure to use the codes. All the stuff you guys want to go follow us will be in the description below. Outside of that, hope you guys enjoyed. Peace and butt grease. Mouse click.